Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our special presentation today, supporting students in China during the coronavirus outbreak. Obviously, this is a very hard time for families and students who are impacted by the situation right now, and we wanted to take some time to provide some resources and some support for institutions who might be helping students and their families navigate this difficult process. First, I want to introduce myself. My name is Gil Rogers. I'm the Executive Vice President here at Platform Q Education. I've been working in the higher ed space for almost 12 years. Prior to coming to Platform Q, I actually worked at a company that did marketing and international student recruitment and outreach via online channels, done some research in the China market. There's definitely some familiarity and also a place in my heart for that for students in that area. So, before we hop into some of the presentation content, I know many of you might be joining us for the first time. So just to give you an idea of who Platform Q is and what Conduit is, we are the engagement experts when it comes to developing online engagement strategies. The company has been around for about 15 years, developing best-in-class software for what we call omni-channel engagement. And what that means is we combine webcasting, social media streaming, live online chat, and power that with email and global text messaging to help drive engagement with students throughout the process. And we work really hard to integrate our online engagement plans with overall recruitment priorities. So, of course, when situations like this arise, and it's not just situations like the coronavirus, it's things like travel being impacted by weather, maybe a team member getting a flight delay. These are all things that may come up. So it's kind of thinking through and putting together a plan to make sure you're in the best position to support students as best as possible. So, one of the things we want to make sure we're kind of aligned on is obviously is the student mindset in the China market specifically. For those who are joining, many of this is probably not new information, but hopefully it helps to reinforce information that you're familiar with. We know that about a third of international students enrolling in the U.S. come from China. So of course, when something like this happens, it's going to impact our campus communities. It's going to impact the extended communities of families abroad. So what can we do to support students and continue to provide them resources when the global health crisis that's in play right now is impacting potential travel plans? I've spoken with many partner institutions who have had to cancel their spring travel to China. That of course is a big opportunity for them to reach and engage those students. Longer term, they kind of have a wait and see approach. So in addition to prudent things like posting information to your website, making sure that families know where to access information and resources, what can we do to amplify that so that students don't feel kind of abandoned through this process and really feel supported through this process? So, when we think about that, thinking about the channels to reach students, we know that 70% of students in China, if not more, use a smartphone as their primary tool for research in colleges. And about a third have engaged with live chat on their mobile devices. When we think about WeChat and we think about the other social media platforms out there, they're all mobile first, right? So how do we develop a mobile first kind of plan to make sure we're supporting students through this process while also understanding the limitations that might be there with respect to distributing that content? So again, information that we probably already know in many ways, but traditional social media channels like a Facebook or a Twitter or YouTube or even Google, have trouble with reaching students in China because of the firewall. Maybe a family has a VPN. There's other areas to make that work, but we know that it's going to take a combination of channels and tactics to reach and engage students in meaningful ways. So, the key to all of this is finding a way to break through with meaningful content that's also supportive, right? And again, given the current situation, we want to help you provide as many resources and support students through this process as much as possible, as well as possible. So, just to give you an idea of some of the traffic that we've seen over the past 12 months or so, this is a quick screenshot of when we looked at traffic of students engaging with our clients' presentations in China over the past 12 months. And we see that with the opportunity here is what this means is that the video content via Conduit actually makes it through the firewall for students to engage with. About a third of students have viewed that content via their mobile device. So how are we distributing that content via mobile is a piece that we need to think about when we're developing our strategy. And then finally, we know that the average watch time is about 10 minutes. So from a bandwidth perspective of your team, we're not talking about developing hour-long, 2-hour-long presentations. We're talking about chunks of content to help and support students through the process. So really thinking about when we put together a plan, how do we build a digital engagement plan that includes email, text messaging, and video in a way that will provide students with a meaningful experience. So one of the things we would recommend is look at your overall communication plan and think about how are we delivering content via multiple channels at a cadence that supports students through the process. So, the examples we have up here are, admitted student events and transition programs, but think about pre-arrival content. If a student can't, if students putting off travel until as late as possible or not able to travel for specific reasons, then we need to bring that content to them, right? So it can be visa workshops, it can be I-20 workshops, it can be pre-arrival, pre-orientation type content, man on the street, walking tours with a live chat with a student who's with a current Chinese student. These are things that we would recommend thinking about and developing into your plan. And our strategy team is more than available to help you with thinking through these types of programs and how to build these types of strategies. The other way to make sure that we're engaging students is text messaging. And obviously not all texting platforms are the same. There's, many platforms are US and Canada specific. So you're going to want to look for a texting platform that's global in scope with content with your contact be able to be whitelisted and into China, because again, similar issues with the firewall, cell phone providers as well, having an issue with deliverability. So making sure you can send texts all day, but if they don't get received, did you really send them, right? So thinking about, in addition to a quick video strategy, what's our texting strategy to get important content, key deadlines and reminders with a direct link to useful information? That way you're providing students with resources, helping them stay engaged, helping them feel valued and supported through this process. And also providing opportunities for one-to-one engagement. You can send a text to students inviting them to a group chat or sending them to your WeChat to engage with your current student population or your admission staff, however you have that set up. So I would say think about how think about our overall communication plan. It's going to be a combination of timely video content with short, digestible pieces of information on a platform that can actually make it through the firewall, and texting with key reminders to support that with opportunities for one-to-one engagement and key reminders as well. So hopefully, and again, this is meant to be a brief presentation, hopefully give you some ideas to think about with respect to building those plans and to supporting students. We again wanted to take time out to just make sure that we're all aligned on supporting students through this process. It's a very difficult time, and we want to be available and supportive as possible. So if you're looking for some additional support, feel free to reach out. Our team is available for free consultations on developing those strategies and plans. My contact information is there as well. If you're looking for any advice or support, we're happy to help. Thanks so much for taking the time out today. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day.